Welcome in to the Off-Brand Avalanche podcast. Post Game 6, and the Avalanche are still alive. Somehow, they...
Wow.
By the
Wow.
grace of God.
This was the best game they've played in the series, in my opinion, and
Yeah.
I was I was terrified when we heard that Michael Hutchinson would get the start again, and I kind of thought the series was over. I didn't think the Avs were going to win this one, but they did, and I'm so happy that they did. It was just impressive all around the way that the boys came through. It was really this was I thought the best fought hockey game in the series between both teams. Just the way it was played. A lot of the other ones have just been fluky things happening here and there that have decided the game,
Yep.
and this one was just a legitimate hockey game where both teams played pretty well, both teams played hard, and the Avs just happened to come out on top. What did you guys think of that?
Yeah, Billy, I totally agree with you. Back to your first point, this was, in my opinion, the best game that Avs have played all series. In despite of that first period, because the first period they came out like they did from, the rest of the series, and it did not look good at the end of that first period. That really swung momentum when Z got that timely last minute goal, and that's what the boys needed. And then Hutch made saves when he needed to. He wasn't really tested too much. He had one save that I thought probably could have gone in on other goaltenders that he just made a great save on, and that really, in my opinion, gave the boys a big spark.
And while we're on Hutchinson, we have to talk about the fact that goal was a joke. But it's okay because he made up for
the
it.
first one was so bad.
That goal
right.
was pathetic. Yeah. But other than that, Hutchinson played a very, very good game and gave the Avs the quality goaltending that we didn't think he was going to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Billy, so some of my impressions from the game, going back to your point that once we saw that Hutchinson was starting again, and then also we found out today that Grubauer is heading back to Denver. I think it actually was yesterday that we found out, but so Grubauer is out for the rest of the series, and it wouldn't really, or at least the rest of the postseason, and it wouldn't surprise me if we found out the same thing from Frankie here soon. And crazier things in hockey playoffs have happened than a third-string goaltender like leading their team to a Stanley Cup.
It's gonna be tough.
But with that being said, it's gonna be very tough. But with that being said, I was extremely nervous and did not have that much confidence coming into today's game. I told Zach that when Zach was on his lunch break and I just got home from work, I told him I'm not feeling too good about this game tonight. And then Zach kind of reassured me. He's like, if the boys just play their game, then I think that we could come out and win this game. And sure enough, the boys did come play their game. And honestly, I agree with you guys. I think this is the most well-rounded game that the Avs have played so far in the series. Just shut down hockey, all the boys blocking shots, and ultimately not taking a lot of penalties too. But I mean, it's hard to argue with the Game 5 performance in the first period. So these last two games with Hutchinson and net, though, it's for whatever reason, Hutch has brought us a bit of a spark.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's working, it's working. We will have to get into the injuries a little bit later. Frankie, the one, I know you said you wouldn't be surprised to hear he's out. I'm a little bit more hopeful with Frankie. I think there's a chance that we just have Hutchinson for one more game. I think we're probably rolling with Hutchinson in Game 7. I think there's a chance we have Frankie if we do move on, but it's just as likely that he's out. It's hard to judge with these things, especially with how little information we have. But if we can roll with Hutchinson, I'll tell you, I'm feeling better today than I did yesterday. I'm still not feeling good about rolling with Hutchinson. Just these two games not included, he's kind of proven in his career that he's not all that great. He's good. I mean, he's made a career of playing goalie, so he's not terrible, but I'm not exactly loving where we're at. But hey, like you said, Marshall, crazier things have happened. We saw Jordan Binnington last year go on a run and return to earth hard this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, especially in the playoffs.
We'll see what happens. Any goalie can get hot for a stretch.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, so I was also telling Zach, it's I feel a little bit more comfortable with Hutchinson being in net just because of the fact that he has been an NHL goaltender for some while now. not particularly a high level goaltender. But at the same time, I feel better rolling him out than some of our AHL
Hunter
goaltenders,
Miska or Adam
and that's just my opinion.
Warner. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just not like he doesn't have any NHL experience at all, which he does. And so I feel a little bit more comfortable. And if the Avs can just play like a defensive style of hockey and like really push the play, then I'm feeling really good about Game 7.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous about it, but Game 7s in the NHL are incredibly difficult to predict. They're almost always a toss-up. And if you told me
Yep.
when we went down 3-1 that we could have a toss-up, I'll take that 10 times out of 10. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
we're happy to be here at this point. The Avs, it's good to see the way they've played in elimination games because they didn't start this series out strong at all, but they've now played 2 elimination games. Last year against San Jose, they played an elimination game in Game 6. They ended up losing Game 7, but 3-1 in elimination games in the last 2 years, which is incredibly impressive to me for a young team. And I think that that's definitely promising. You got to think injuries aren't exactly on our side as far as this series goes, but we were the better team coming in. You take out the injuries, and now it's kind of a wash. I feel like both teams are pretty good. So going into Game 7, like, Game 7s are always a coin flip. Even this one, I'm, like, even more convinced this game could go either way, which I think is great for the Avalanche because this is exactly the position you want to be in. You want to have a chance because when you were down 3-1, you didn't think you had a chance, and now you do.
Mm-hmm. You have a huge chance. Yeah, Game 7s in the NHL are, like you said, Billy, a humongous coin flip, and they're an entirely different beast in itself in the entire series. It's do or die, and literally the best team ends up coming out of Game 7. So, or the team that wants it the most to move on to the next round.
Sometimes it's the team that gets the bounces. So there's always that possibility. You hate to see that kind of decide a series, but it is a thing that happens sometimes. Hopefully that won't be the case this time, unless that's the case in the Avalanche's favor. But hopefully that won't be the case this time. Hopefully we will get to see a Game 7 where the better team wins. And the Avalanche will be the Vegas favorite in this game. I'm almost 100% certain of that. Like, they haven't come out with the odds yet, but we've been the favorite in every game thus far in the series. So unless we find out that Landeskog is out and that there was some other secret injury that we didn't know about, then we'll presumably be okay. Landeskog did return, so let's talk a little bit about Landeskog because it was scary seeing him hobble off the ice. Yeah. It looks like he just got a cut and he was able to get it stitched up, but man, watching the captain hobble like that, it was scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely was scary. And when that happened, I told Marshall, thank God it was just a cut, not like a meniscus tear or something crazy like that in the leg. Because the way I didn't see it right when, in real time, I saw him hobbling off the ice and it looked bad. So obviously you don't want your captain getting cut like that. I don't really see why he wouldn't play Game 7 other than if it's like crazy sore and could get infected, but still then I think he'd probably send it. So.
Yeah, it's just one of those you don't know.
These are hockey
It's hard to know exactly what's wrong. It might have been they stitched it up before deciding to truly look at it and sent him back out onto the bench. Like Eric Johnson returned to the bench in the last game too, so I'm fairly confident that he'll return, but I'm not gonna bet much. I wouldn't call it a lock by any means. He probably will. We'll probably
absolutely. It still is very comforting though, seeing him come back out onto the bench and even got a little bit of ice time, albeit not like the most amount of ice time ever, but he did, get thrown onto the ice. And to me, Landeskog's the type of guy that if he can go, he's going to go. And that I'm kind of looking at going into Game 7 if Landeskog has a chance to go, and like you said, Zach, a cut, and hopefully it's a minor cut, is a lot different than some sort of tear or some sort of bone break. You can always
Achilles tear or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're glad to have him back. We'll talk about the other injury while we're on the tangent a little bit. Connor Timmins did not return. If I had to guess, I'd say he's probably not playing in the next game. The
To me,
universe is telling the Avs to play Bo Byram, but I don't think they're going to do it. I
Yeah,
think they're going to play Kevin Connaughton. But what do you guys think about that?
yeah, this is the one that really scares me, considering his past injuries.
hmm
To the one that I saw, he took a good hit from I think it was Alexiak in the back, not dirty or anything, just face straight into the boards.
hmm
And when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, I don't know
Yeah.
about that."
Yeah.
And then like a few shifts later, he was done. So what really scares me about that injury is the previous, concussion problems he's had, and
Yep.
if that's going to continue with him, which would be a huge bummer for the Avs' depth and just the future going forward.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
I
scary for
totally
a guy
agree.
like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you said, Zach, it wasn't a particularly dirty hit, but it was a hard hit, and his head
Mhm.
did relatively like hit the glass pretty hard. And with a guy that's has been notorious for concussion issues in his entire career, that's something that like the Avs are probably pretty down on themselves about right now
Yeah.
because the kid, has been a very highly touted prospect ever since being, picked in the second round. And to see him go through these type of injuries, it's not only sad for like the Avalanche franchise, but it's very sad for him because
Mhm.
you don't know what his potential holds.
Especially such
Right.
a promising talent, you hate to see that kind of thing lost to injuries. It's one thing when a prospect busts because they weren't that good a player. It's it's just such a depressing story when a prospect
Hmm.
is lost to injury. So I hope that's not the case with Connor Timmins. I'm hopeful that he'll be okay, and this is just going to be a game or two that he's out. We might not see him again in the postseason just because he's a young prospect, and after you go back to Connaughton, you have to keep having that conversation every game if you want to go back to Timmins. So we'll see what they end up doing. Do you guys give
Yeah,
any
Billy,
thought to Byram?
that was my next question.
Oh, well, we're on the same page
If
then.
it wasn't a game seven, I would say
Yeah.
yes. If it was like game one or two, absolutely. I think there's no hesitation that Bednar tosses in Byram. But being that it is a game seven and literally would be Byram's first NHL game, getting thrown in on a game seven, I don't really think that there's a chance. I
Yeah.
mean, you have to go with some guy that has NHL experience. With that being said, though, if the Avs do come out and win Game Seven, I think that Byram has a very good chance of playing in the Western Conference Finals.
I still think they'd roll
Yeah.
with Connaughton. Like, I'd love to see them roll with Byram. I've said it on this podcast constantly. I really want to see Byram play. I don't think that it happens. The one thing I will say, if we get to like game 4 with Vegas, and then we're at the point where there is no possible way that he could play 10 games and burn that ELC, and then someone else Kevin Connaughton gets hurt or something. I think that's the only way we maybe see Byram.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a a pretty decent chance that we at least see him in like game one or two of the Vegas series, and if it's not working out, then we switch to Connaughton because there is that factor of like, well, Kevin Connaughton makes a bunch of mistakes as well, but Bowen Byram, like if you're looking at the upside and what you
Yeah,
can bring, I feel like Bowen Byram's upside is a lot higher than Kevin Connaughton.
he's got
So
the pure
if
talent.
you're looking at some guy that can like at least provide like a legitimately solid spark to the team, then Bowen Byram's that guy. But he's not that guy for Game Seven. Bednar's going to be looking for a reliable defenseman that has NHL experience.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not Connaughton, it's Barbario, and if it's not Barbario, it's
Yeah,
Lindholm. Byram's probably fourth in the pecking order as far as actually Game
yeah,
7, just because you're not asking a rookie to step up in that scenario. Because I mean, even if you do, like the worst case scenario could play out where Byram makes some big mistake and costs the Avalanche the game and completely stunts
yeah,
his confidence and development. So just to prevent
Hmm.
that, you're
yeah.
not playing Byram in Game 7.
No, absolutely not. I mean, like we were saying, Game Sevens and or NHL playoffs, particularly second round and
Yeah,
like forward,
when you're
are
true
just
contenders at that point, you're like,
it's serious at that time when yeah when and if you have to be thrown into the fire like that, There's no way that Byram is. I mean, the nerves on that kid would be through the roof. I was nervous as hell watching the game tonight and having to suit up for the Avalanche in the Game 7 in the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's just kind of unfair to the kid.
Yeah, that would definitely be something unprecedented. So we're not gonna see that. It's just kind of a fact at this point. So
Yeah.
who do you think we do go with Connaughton, or do you think Barberio gets the shot? I think it's Connaughton.
Yeah, I think it's Connaughton just based on, he's played 2 games in the series already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only reason I would probably go with Connaughton over Barberio at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I would agree.
Guy.
I would agree that Connaughton's going in. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world to see Barberio get into Game 7 just because he's been with the Avalanche organization longer and has played a decent amount of games with the team. But with that being said, it's he has no games under his belt in the bubble from my knowledge, so it would be pretty hard to throw him in.
Yeah, so I think he played in that exhibition game, but I don't even know if that really counts.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we're all pretty much on the same page on that one. We probably get Connaughton. What do you think? Matt Calvert does seem very close to returning. He was practicing today. Yeah. I think there's a good chance he comes back in Game 7. Who's out for Matt Calvert? Do you think it's LOC, or do you think... I think they might leave LOC in. I think there's a good chance we see them pull Nemesnikov.
I would put my money on Nieto.
Nieto's a good one, too. One of the two, I think.
I think Nieto's been playing pretty decently these last few games. I think you're right, Billy. Nemesnikov, I think he's played not good. Yeah. Doesn't matter where he's been shuffled around in the lines. He's just not performed to where we want him to based on, getting him at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably him that takes a seat if that's the case.
That definitely is fair, but I think we can all agree that LOC is staying in, right? Because
I think we all agree with that. The way LOC is played, you don't take him out of the lineup. The spark he's given him is big.
And imagine, before LOC came into the lineup when Calvert was hurt, that fourth line was seriously struggling, just because they didn't have that super gritty guy. Yeah. And LOC did bring that grittiness that was missing from Calvert's appearance. Imagine having Calvert and LOC on the ice together on the fourth line.
Belmar in between them. That's a fourth line I want to watch. They're gonna keep the puck in the zone, and they're gonna generate energy. And we saw it in the round robin. That line was rolling, and every time the first line got back out, they were already in the offensive zone, and there was already pressure. So if the fourth line can play like that, which I think they would if you put Calvert and LOC on the sides of Belmar, I think that's a really good formula for success. I will say that that maybe is a point in Nemesnikov's favor, because if you're putting one of them with Jost and Comfer on that third line, I think that Nemesnikov might be a slightly better fit, but not so much. I don't know that it's a massive difference there, and I think that Nieto might have just been slightly better in these last few games.
Do we think about taking out Jost then?
No, you don't. Jost has been playing too good.
You don't think so?
I agree.
Wait, he isn't playing too good.
Jost
has been playing too good.
Yeah, he's been playing too good to take
out. Okay, but yeah, I agree with that. I think it's in the end between Nieto and Nemesnikov, and that's seriously, just saying how good LOC has been, because he has been a rock star.
And it's a testament to the Avalanche's depth. The fact that we're talking about, hey, our young kids, Tyson Jost and Logan O'Connor, are playing so well that we're talking about sitting guys like Vlad Nemesnikov and Matt Nieto, who are clear NHL players, is...
Yeah.
It's a good thing, especially the way the Avs have been ravished by injuries this year. It's good to have that kind of depth that we're still able to kind of survive, which, I mean, I know we're not exactly where we want to be as far as who we're actually rolling out there, but it's been impressive to see that we haven't completely fallen apart. We're still in a series, and this isn't just, we're not winning games against Detroit. We're winning games against a Dallas Stars team that the way they're playing has been a legitimate contender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Go ahead, Zach.
Oh, they've been playing, yeah, like you guys were saying, so great. And to me, this is just a testament to the Avs leadership. They've been, to me, really promoting, not maybe vocally, but physically, that next man up mentality, like leading by example, doing the little things right. And it's really started with the top line all series. They've been on every single game. And now here we are, the bottom six have finally come into roll,
Yeah.
come into play. And it's just, that top. I can't say enough about that top six or that top line. Honestly, with being McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog, they've been absolutely unreal and really brought us back into the
And
series.
McKinnon's point streak at this point is starting to get a little bit ridiculous.
Seriously,
You're now talking
it's
about
crazy.
you're on a list. He just tied Bobby Orr. You're now sitting in striking distance of Mark Messier. You're talking about
Insane.
some
I
of the
think
best NHL players ever.
He's tied with Mark Messier.
Oh, are they all three tied?
Yeah,
I forgot
and
who-
Bobby Orr.
I know he's tied with Orr.
Yeah,
I think they
so
all
it's,
got 14.
Okay.
it's a three-way tie between him, Orr, and Messier. I can't
Trottier, I think,
remember
was the one at
right
the top.
now. Trottier, yeah. Yep, Rick Trottier.
It's insane.
So that is absolutely elite
You're
company.
talking about Hall of Famers.
But there, yeah, he did have those three round
Yeah.
robin games, but still, I'm not even putting any weight into that right now because with this season being as crazy as it is, for him to be going out and putting up points in 14 games straight, and not only is it just like one point here and there, like a secondary assist, he's been putting up 2 or 3 points in a lot of
Yeah.
those games and a lot
and
of goals
big
too.
goals.
Right.
Not just set up Rantanen for the one-timer that tied the game back up after they squandered the lead in that, was it game 3? And then tonight's, that insurance goal set up Mikko for almost the exact same play. Little sauce pass one-timer. Set up Mikko for a massive insurance goal. So he's not doing this just by putting in a couple points in garbage time. He's doing this by scoring massive goals, getting massive assists, and really, if the Avalanche win the Cup, there's no question he's your Conn Smythe winner.
There's not
Oh,
a question at all. And honestly, if he makes it to the Western Conference Finals and continues to produce like he is, there could be an argument to be made that he wins the Conn Smythe without even making the Stanley Cup.
I mean, that's a tough sell, but he has been that good.
Yeah, it is.
He's been that good.
He's been ridiculously
Yeah.
good. And that's something like we've talked about for a long time. That's something that's been consistent with Nathan McKinnon's career. He always shows up for the very big games, and he elevates his game that much further when the games truly count.
And he's done that. He's been himself. This version of Nathan McKinnon is the best player in the world, and there is no one else I'd rather have on a hockey team right now than the way McKinnon is playing, because he's just been dominant.
Absolutely.
It's not just like the stats are dominant. He pops off the screen. Like every time he touches the puck, the other teams are scared. Fans of the other team, I'm sure, are terrified every time he touches the puck. Every time he touches the puck, I'm leaning up off my couch because I'm so excited.
It's absolutely terrific. And we as Avs fans get to call him one of our own, which is amazing. Honestly, this is the best player that the Avalanche have had since the Joe Sakic era by far.
Mhm.
So I mean, and he's still in his prime. He's going to continue to be in his prime, and no matter what happens, in Game 7 and the rest of this playoff series, we can go to sleep pretty confident at night knowing that Nathan McKinnon is on our team.
We get to go to bed a lot more confident than the teams that have to play him, I'll tell you that. Another guy, another superstar on the Avs who's been playing lights out is Cale Makar. He made that mistake in Game 4 that really cost the Avs pretty big. But since then, and even in that game for big chunks of it, he has been lights out, and he's shown why he is thought of so highly, because he's been an elite defenseman, especially when it comes to the offensive side of the puck.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was definitely it was a great play for him to come down and just to add insult to injury to bink it off Udobin's head and just put her in the net was just awesome to see.
Yeah,
So
the game-winning goal.
just had to add
It
that.
looks
in there.
so he tied Quinn
Yeah.
Hughes today for the most points in the playoffs by a rookie defenseman. That record is just gonna go to whichever player ends up advancing, if either of them do advance,
Yeah.
which I think is hilarious. That's
Yeah.
just a testament to how strong this class is with the two guys at the top.
Dude, it's crazy. It's
We're
crazy.
talking about an
It's
all-time
crazy.
record. Every defenseman who's ever played in the playoffs is a rookie, and the two guys that are rookies in the same year are going back and forth for this record now.
It's unbelievable. These guys are going to be superstars for years to come, and I mean, it's exciting. It's almost as exciting right now to watch young defensemen in the NHL to watch young forwards.
Yeah, just the way the game has
Yeah.
changed, they drive so much offense from the back end, especially like the more offensive guys in general, like Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar.
I mean, even Heiskanen,
Yeah.
dude. Heiskanen's having a
He's
terrific
second in the
postseason.
postseason in scoring, right behind Nathan McKinnon. I will say his
That's
goal
insane.
today
And
was
he's
a
the
little fluky,
same-
but hey, you know, when you're getting that many,
Yeah,
some
but
of them are going to be
still.
lucky too.
When you're hot, you're
Yeah.
hot, man.
That's true.
So I have one quick question. Imagine that Frankie is healthy and ready to go for Game 7. Are we still
Yes.
starting
No,
Hutchinson?
we're still playing Frankie.
Yeah,
No,
I
we're
would
playing
agree.
Frankie. I love how
Whoa.
Hutchinson played. I'm very happy that he bailed us out. I mean, he didn't entirely bail us out by himself, but he was very strong. But the goal that did go in, that should tell you something. That's who Hutchinson is. Yes, he got a little hot and has helped us win these two games, but he wasn't great in Game 5, and he was great except for that goal in Game 6. But it's enough. What he did in Game 5 and that goal in Game 6 are enough that you aren't sticking with him unless you have to. Because if you have a better option, you're taking it.
I
don't
would
know.
agree to an extent. It's like you at one point do you have to ride the hot hand, the guy that
Yeah.
has gotten you to the Game 7.
I agree. That's the same reason the Stars didn't go with Bishop again tonight. Is because Hugh Dubman's hot.
Well, Bishop's a little
He
bit
has been all
different because we
series.
don't know how healthy he is. If Frankie is
Well, he's healthy enough to
fully
start last
healthy-
game.
Yeah, but he might have had a setback or something. I don't know. I think that if
I would
you're
doubt. Just got pulled.
because if Bishop didn't have a setback, then he would have at least you would have thought been backing up, and he didn't do that. I don't think that
Oh,
Frankie's
okay. I
been-
guess I didn't know that.
I don't think that Frankie will be healthy enough to start Game 7. But if he were, I don't think there's much debate. I think that you start him because his track record is just better, and Hutchinson has been good, but has shown signs of, hey, I can only hold this up for so long.
Yeah, there were a couple of times tonight on scramble plays that he did not know at
Mhm.
all where the puck was.
He had some luck on his side.
It's-
He played well, but he had some luck on his side.
Yeah, I agree with that, Billy. I don't know necessarily if the Avalanche brass would agree with
I
that,
think they would.
but if I would definitely think so. But with that being said, I don't see Frankie being completely healthy going for a Game 7, so I do think that Hutch is still in that.
I definitely agree with that. It's same thing with that I just said about Ben Bishop. I think if Frankie were close enough that he would be ready to start Game 7, he probably would have been backing Hutchinson up tonight. So I don't think he's all that close. I think he probably misses Game 7 and he misses a game or two of Vegas, and that's where I think he comes back. But that is entirely just a gut feeling because we have no idea what the actual scenario is here.
Right.
Absolutely. But yeah, boys, pretty crazy series we have
Yeah.
going on here.
We just saw the
Absolutely
Nuggets
big
pull it
win.
out, boys. How crazy would it be to have
Oh.
two Colorado teams in the same year, in the same week, recover from the 3-1 deficit?
That'd be awesome.
Dude, they've been kind of following each other's lead for so long now. It's been like 3 years, dude. They were both in Game 82 of, I think,
Yeah,
3 years ago. Game 82. I mean, I'm not going to go into it right now, but they've been following each other's track
It's
like
weird. They
crazy.
just ride the waves together. It's like
Yeah.
when one's good, they're
If
both good.
you
When one sucks, they both suck.
both Game 7 round twos last year,
Yeah.
like both could potentially come back 3-1s this year. I mean, the list is going on and on right now, but it's kind of weird. But I mean, hopefully the Avs can do the same thing as the Nuggets this time.
Yeah,
Right.
I hope so. I feel all right, boys. I'm not gonna say that like I'm confident because anything can happen, and we are still starting a career backup to third string goalie. But
Yeah.
he's gotten us here. If we got this far,
Yeah.
maybe we go that next step. So I'm hoping and praying, and I can't wait for Friday now because
Yeah.
I mean, less than a week ago, we felt pretty deflated, and now
Yeah.
we're feeling. We're just excited, really. So, this is a good time to be watching hockey, and this is a super exciting series. Anything you guys want to add before we kind of pop out of this podcast?
I think that's it for me.
I would just like to add that if the Avs lose 2 years in a row, round two, game sevens, it would kind of break my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that would break my heart too. I'd probably have to fire Bednar for that.
Nah. It's a little understandable. It's a little understandable with the way we've been ravished by injuries. It sucks that we dropped
Yeah.
those first
Oh,
two
yeah.
games now that we know like we're in this position, because if we had just taken one of those, if we had just not choked that lead, if we had
Especially
just
game
won
two.
that game one that we came out and did nothing, yeah, it hurts a little bit, but hey, we're here now. We got a chance to bail ourselves out. If we take advantage of it, we're in a good place. I can't wait. I thought I was gonna have to shave the playoff beard today, and I didn't. It lives on. Let's see how long that lasts. So
It's getting out of control. Mine is like ratty as
oh, see, mine is
all
just
things
starting
considered.
to look like I did it on purpose. Like it's almost not a joke anymore. So maybe if the Avs can last another series, I'll actually know what it's like to have a real beard. So let's hope for that. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks to all our viewers. If you're still in that live chat, go ahead, hit that like button while you're here. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out all our other platforms. And if you're on those platforms, do whatever you do that helps us out. Leave those 5-star reviews, hit those likes, subscribe, whatever it is. You can find us anywhere you listen to your podcasts. And we'll see you in our next episode.